2016, John, I was made redundant from a job that I absolutely loved doing. I really felt like I found what I wanted to do in my life. And due to government funding cuts, I got made redundant from a residential rehabilitation unit. All the amazing things that have happened since then, setting up my own business and writing my own book, would not have happened should it not been that I got made redundant from that job that I loved. And, you know, I was devastated at the time, but what's happened since then has been absolutely amazing.
Let's go back to the earlier part of your life. When you were in school, what did you see yourself doing in terms of a profession?
I think when I was at school, John, I left there, and I wrote a bit about this in the book. I left at 16 years old with really good GCSE results, but I had no real direction in life. And I always wanted to write a book. I wanted to be an author. And a teacher at school, it was a really nice teacher, really caring, really supportive, said to me, you need to look at something a little bit more realistic than that. That's more of a hobby. So it put me off. It caught me off guard, and it put me off path for a very long time. So I bounced from pillar to post, John, for a long time, not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life. And it all came from that moment, really.
And what did you start working in when you left school, may I ask?
I've always had a good work ethic from my dad. So I've been working from sort of 13, 14 years old in the catering trade. And I kind of fell into that, John. I ended up like a head chef, working in a chain company. But I just fell into it. It was never sort of really igniting my soul, and really there was no passion there.
And what encouraged you to transition from being a chef into helping people who had addiction problems, for example?
I'd always really got a lot from helping other people. And I worked with somebody, and she was doing some voluntary work for a drug organisation in Stoke-on-Trent, where I'm from. And she told me about this place, the O'Connor Centre, and they were looking for people to take on as bank workers or voluntary. So I'd filled in a voluntary application form, and just as I was about to hand it in, two jobs had come up there. So I applied for one, got it, and quite quickly I worked my way up to residential manager, and really thought I'd found what I absolutely loved doing. I felt comfortable there, I liked it, and I would probably still be there, John, if I hadn't been made redundant.
And how did you feel immediately after being made redundant from your job?
Really low, really hit quite rock bottom, really. It was just before Christmas. I was trying to put a brave face on as much as I could, John, to make it good for my daughter. But it was hard. It was really difficult. I felt like I'd slipped back into the place of not having any real direction or any real purpose of where I was going. So it was a tough time. And the time of year, I know there's no good time to be made redundant, but just before Christmas as well kind of really added to the sort of bad feeling that you were getting from that. A lot of close friends as well were in that role. So luckily we were there to support each other. But yeah, it was a tough time, John.
And what was the reason for your redundancy? And do you think it was handled well or poorly?
I think it could have been definitely handled a lot better. I was on holiday in the October holidays when my daughter had gone away for half term. A good friend of mine lives in Spain, so we'd gone to visit him. I got a phone call while I was there saying there was an important meeting when we got back. Everybody needed to attend. Got back, and by December the place was closed, boarded up, and government had withdrawn the funding, John, by 50%, which meant that one rehabilitation centre stayed open, which was in another city, and unfortunately we were the ones that closed. Yeah, it was. It could have been handled better. I think it was the second time I've been through redundancy, and it definitely could have been handled a lot better than it was.
What's been the highest or proudest moment in your life?
Again, you know, I've wrote about this in the book. I think the proudest moment in my life is being a dad to me, to my beautiful 13 going on 30 daughter. Second to that was probably releasing my book in March this year. That was a really proud moment. It was a dream come true.
What's been the lowest point in your life?
Redundancy was definitely up there as one of them. It was from a job I loved doing, so that hit hard. But you know, initially on my first business journey, I remember going to the first networking event. I had 2 credit cards completely maxed out, which I ploughed into my business, and I had 47 pence in the bank. And I remember I didn't even have enough for a raffle ticket at the networking event. By no means, John, is it pleading poverty. I had food in the cupboards, you know, my bills were paid. But the easiest thing I think at that point would have been to go and get another manager's job somewhere. But it just felt like I was on the right track, John. And, you know, that's paid back tenfold since then. I'm glad I stuck with it and didn't crumble and go and get another job.
So you have is a 13-year-old child at the moment, is it?
Yeah, she's 13, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to your child, or your daughter, I should say, in a couple of years' time, when she's going to do her GCSEs? Would you recommend that she stays on in school and does her A-levels and go on from there to university? Or would you recommend she goes out into the workplace as you did post GCSEs many years ago?
I'd love her, John, to follow what her heart's telling her to do. You know, I give her as much guidance and as much support as I can. I really encourage her to go after her dreams, whatever they may be. And one of the reasons for writing my book is I think a lot of parents can be telling the children, oh, go after your dreams, when they're really doing things that are very unfulfilling for them. They've fallen into something that they don't love doing. And it was important for me to come across as congruent and authentic to her, that I'm telling her to go after her dreams while also pursuing my own. So I would support her in whatever she'd like to do. I would love her to go on to college and university. At the moment, she wants to be a teacher, so you know that's fantastic. And I'll encourage her and support her whatever she wants to do. I'm there for her.
Yeah. And do you think, looking back at those years that you spent at school, that your teacher did do you a service or a disservice in putting you off the teaching profession?
I think what it was put me off the book profession. I wanted to write a book, and she put me off that. I think initially it felt like a disservice. Now it's been a foundation which I've built upon everything I've done. So she did me a service, I think, in the long run. She was a great, fantastic teacher, and unfortunately, a lot of the people who talk us after going after what we really want in life are the people that love us and care for us. They aren't these people that are trying to pull us down. The people that want what's best for us. They want it to be safe and secure, and challenge and growth, I think, comes from things not being safe and secure, from really pushing out of that comfort zone.
What does the future hold for Darren Brookes?
I really want to get an online platform going, the Dreams to Goals platform, where people can sign up for monthly information courses. And after that, I'm going to start writing another book, I think, John. I've been making notes on 2 books for years. I had a notebook full of notes, and it was just piecing it together. Well, I've got the blueprint now. I did an amazing program called the Big Book Lockdown, which started at the beginning of the UK lockdown. And that really gave me the blueprint to put this book together. So I'm going to use the same one and get that next book out there.
What thoughts entered your head when you walked into that room for your first ever networking event post redundancy? You're a self-employed person. What thoughts were in your head?
I felt, John, a little bit out of place, to be honest. There was business owners in there that have been going for 3, 4, 5+ years. I was new, so yeah. Initially, I did feel a bit out of place. So there was nerves and a bit of anxiety, but there was also a lot of excitement. I believe that surrounding yourself by the people that are a bit further on than you can learn a lot, and you can grow from that. And I definitely did. You know, some of those people are really, really close friends now from that first event. So it was a bit scary, but it was what outweighed that was what I've learned and what I've got from that. That 100% outweighed that pushing out of that comfort zone, and I'm big on that now. I think as much as to push out of my comfort zone now on a weekly basis, I try to, because I know you can learn a lot and there's a lot of personal and professional growth in that.
What's been the single biggest lesson you've learned since you became self-employed?
The biggest lesson I've learned is to follow your gut feeling, to follow that instinct. You can sometimes, I've gone for clients initially on that, didn't quite feel right, but I was early on as a business, so struggling financially. But I think follow that gut feeling. I've really tuned into that a lot more now, and the more I follow that, the amazing things that start happening. It's funny you should say, John, about how the redundancy was handled. What they were trying to get me to do at the time is they were trying to get me to, it's called bumping off apparently, and they were trying to get me bump the other manager off from the other rehabilitation unit. They wanted me to go down there and take on that role, and everything about my gut feeling was saying no, don't do it. And there's not one day that I've regretted not doing that, John. The decision that I made was the right one. So I definitely say follow your gut feeling as much as you can. Tune into that as much as you can.
Looking back at your school life again, do you think you would have benefited from having a careers guidance counsellor in school?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I think one of the things that's really missing from the school system is the encouragement to pursue the more creative routes, the writing of the book, the playing an instrument, the becoming an artist. I think that's really looked at quite second level, with a lot more focus around the maths and the English and the science, which of course is really important. But yeah, I think somebody that sits down and listens to you and provides that advice on listening to what you've said, rather than coming from their own place and thinking that they know what's best for you. Well, you go to college, go to university, which is all absolutely amazing. But for some people, I don't think that's the right path. I know amazing musicians that are working in factories. I know artists that fail GCSE art. So I think a lot more encouragement around the individual, rather than looking at kind of as if everybody's the same. And I know things have come on leaps and bounds since I was at school, and I speak to my daughter. There is a lot more encouragement around that now, but I would have definitely benefited from that, I think, because I left there with really good GCSE results, feeling like a failure at the time. And that was because I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, or I thought I didn't. I wanted to write a book, but I was put off doing that.
Yeah. So what made you feel like a failure when you left school?
The lack of direction, John. It was definitely the not knowing what I wanted to do. It was all this pressure. I was putting all this pressure on myself that some of me friends at school and colleagues knew where they wanted to go, knew what they wanted to do, and because I didn't, I felt a sort of sense of failure from that. When looking back, it's like you were 16, 17 years old. We work until 60, 65. Well, I've got no intentions of ever retiring. I've found now what I love doing, and I'll keep doing that. But yeah, it was that lack of direction that really played on my mind. And the more I tried to think I should know what I'm doing, the further away I seem to have got from that, really.
What's been the most important skill you have learned or developed since you became self-employed?
The most important skill, I think, is definitely the self-discipline. Having to discipline yourself, especially, being a life coach, you're working with people on the well-being, and it's important to look after your own well-being. I went into a well-being organisation straight from the O'Connor Centre with two friends. We set up a business together, and I was doing 90 plus hours a week, which was ironic considering it was a well-being organisation. When I pulled away from there and set up as a life coach myself, there was a lot of lessons from that, and self-discipline was a big one. To take that time off, spend that time with the family, and really get a good work-life balance. It doesn't mean that you don't have to work hard, because of course you do, because you're working on your own thing. But it's also important to get that family time and social time in. You see a lot of stuff from influencers and entrepreneurs. You need to be grinding, hustling, and working all the time. And I don't believe that's the case at all. I think you need to be doing it in the right way. and flogging yourself to 20 hours a day, that's not completely necessary. It's working smarter rather than harder, I think. And that's an ongoing lesson. You know, if I feel like I'm doing too much, I've got to check myself and hold on a minute. You're booking a lot in here. There's a lot going on. Maybe take a little bit of a step back and take that time, spend that time with your daughter. Ultimately, what I'm doing now is I'm doing because of what I love, but also for a better life for my daughter, so that I can attend all the concerts that are on at school, or the sports days when she was younger. So if I'm sacrificing time for her to do this, then I'm doing it all the wrong way around. So self-discipline's been a big skill to learn.
You've published one book. What lesson did you learn from publishing your first book?
Habits important. We did this program, the Big Week Lockdown. There were 6 of us on there, and one of the questions was, when are you going to spend to find time to write? Some people said they were waiting for that inspiring moment and then sit down and write. Other people were like, I'm going to write on the weekend. For me, John, it had to become a daily habit. I had to make that part of my routine. So every morning when I got up, I started writing, regardless of whether it was any good. I'd come back the next day and swap and change things. And it had to become a part of my daily practice. If it didn't, I'd probably still be talking about writing this book now. So, but it did, and I got it written quite quick, really. We struggled at the beginning for the first 2 chapters, but after that, it kind of flowed. So I'll implement the exact same process for the next book. I think that was a big learning curve, and it paid off well.
Do you think you've become a better listener since starting your life coaching business?
Yeah, I think John, come from working in the rehabilitation unit initially. It was an 18-week program where the people who were there lived there for those 18 weeks. Whether you were doing a day shift or a night shift, people were struggling. It wasn't just about kicking those drugs or kicking the alcohol, whatever it was for the person. It was about changing behaviours and everything, and thought patterns, changing the way you think. So it was important to listen to the person and put value on them there. So, and I think I've just built on that. I've built on that as time went on. So I think it initially started there. It was really important that the people felt value and heard who were in there, because one of the things that one of the head therapists said to me when I started is, you're dealing with people that have maybe never been listened to their entire life, whether it be from the social services, whether it be from the partners or the places that employed them, or the police or the criminal justice. It was a wide variety of clientele in there, and you were dealing with people that probably hadn't been listened to. A lot of traumatic things from the past, whether it be abuse, physically, mentally, sexually. So, yeah, my listening skills were certainly developed there, John. And I did a couple of counselling courses and my life coaching qualifications as well, which really sort of fine-tuned that.
How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your business?
Well, the first lockdown, within 4 days, every single one of my clients cancelled. I was seeing everybody, John, face to face. I'd either meet them at their offices or in coffee shops. And within 4 days, my business had completely gone, really. So luckily, I do some work with the probation service as well. So I could pick shifts up there. There was shifts available at that time. But it cleared that space to write that book. And I think I'm really big on not focusing on what you can't change, focus on what you can. At that time, I couldn't change what was going on, that the clients had cancelled. But what I could do is focus on what I could do, which was sit down and write the book. And I've really just got to a point now where I've got back up to where I was before the pandemic hit. Now I'm taking all my clients on over Zoom. I think some amazing things have come from this pandemic, aside from the sort of the terrible things that have happened. And that's the fact that, that we're sitting here having this conversation now. So I'm seeing a lot of clients now through Zoom, and I think I'll keep it that way, John, for at least the foreseeable future. I think the only people I am seeing face to face are clients that I've picked back up, or people that are really local. But I'm sort of extending my horizons really. I've got clients in America. I've got some like Nantwich way and down south. So it's it's hit hard, but it's a lot of goods come from it.
You've worked in addiction services for a number of years. You're now a life coach. What do you do to unwind or to relax?
I spend time with my daughter. I love that. I enjoy going to the gym, and I enjoy socialising with friends. I used to go to quite a few concerts and that, John, which hasn't happened for a while. But I'm actually going to one on Saturday night, so I'm quite looking forward to that. Other than that, I love reading, and I love listening to music, and I listen to a lot of personal development things on YouTube as well. So I find that quite relaxing. Reading's a great one though. Reading's a great one for unwinding. You sort of you're updating your knowledge and your skills on that as well. So that's I find that really relaxing.
And may I ask, what's your favorite genre of music, and what sort of books do you like to read?
Oh, music. I'm a massive fan of the Beatles. My dad brought me up on the Beatles and the Who and the mod scene. I've got a really wide. I like rap. I like rock. I like a bit of heavy metal. But I would say the Beatles, the '60s era, is definitely one of my favourites. Books at the moment, personal development. I read a lot about personal development because it's what I enjoy and it's what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I think my favourite authors though were probably Hunter S. Thompson and Jack Kerouac. I love the work that they did from the Beats era, but mainly personal development at the moment. That's what I'm reading now, and I get a lot from that. And you can implement a lot of that in your business as well, which is amazing.
What sort of YouTube channels have you subscribed to, may I ask?
Yeah, love Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan's podcast. Learned quite a bit from that. There's a great episode with Kevin Hart on there, which is really, really motivational. I watch The Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu and Lewis Howes. I can't remember the name of his podcast, but that's really good. I've just been listening to Jocko Willenick as well, who's quite straight to the point and a little bit hardcore, but I find him quite motivational as well.
And finally, what type of TV programs do you like to listen to or watch?
More on the series. So what have I watched recently? I quite like Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad. I'm watching Riverdale at the moment because I've got a daughter who's 13, so we're watching that all the time. But we're just waiting for Cobra Kai come back on, which was quite nostalgic for me because Karate Kid was one of my favourite films, and my daughter absolutely loves it as well. So we watch a good few things together, which is nice.
How can the audience reach you, and do you have an offer for the audience today?
Yeah, they can reach me on most platforms, John. I'm Darren J. Brookes on LinkedIn. I'm DJ Brookes Life Coach on Instagram. I'm Darren J. Brookes on Facebook. And yeah, I've got a Dreams to Goals offer, which I'm working on quite a few clients with now, which is a 10-session program. It's 2 weeks in between each session, and it's taking that dream. It's amazing for people that have been made redundant or people that really feel like they deserve more and they want more, but they just don't know what it is. And it starts from taking that dream that can feel quite overwhelming and breaking it down into manageable goals. And it's a 10-session program, and getting a lot of success with the clients from that. So and I'm really passionate. That's what my book's about. That's what my coaching's about. It's taking that dream. Let's bring it to life. So yeah, that 10-session program is a great one.
And should people contact you via Calendly or email you to take up that special offer?
Yeah, they can email me, John, on darren.brooks@mail.com, or they can just give me a call and we'll book in a consultation. And that's numbers 07989 713 920. They're the best ways to contact me. Love a catch up over the phone, and then what I'll do then is book a Zoom consultation in.